I would now like to introduce our rector, Jorn Mortensen.
Dear lecturers, artists, professionals, students, dear everyone. Being in the forefront, discussing, assessing, and reflecting upon changes and tendencies in contemporary art is one of the main purposes of the Oslo National Academy of the Arts. It is part of the institution's mission, so to speak. And in this perspective, I cannot be anything than very proud on the institution's behalf that we gather here these days. I'm also quite proud on the Department of Art and Crafts behalf, as I'm still the dean at that department. Because of the fact that we gather here to discuss and address what printmaking is and what it can be. One of the driving forces behind this seminar is a need to update the notion of printmaking. The question is simply, what is the nature of printmaking today? Given radical changes within technology, media, reception patterns, social forms, and urban popular culture, the whole field needs to question what formats, what characteristics, what boundaries, and what limits applies to contemporary printmaking today. Historically, prints played an important role in documenting and testifying to other works of art. But this sort of reproductive function often led to their secondary status. As the field of printmaking has become increasingly open, the status of the print has changed. Ultimately, one may think that the expansion of the prints is limitless, that the expanded field knows no ends. But doesn't that eliminate the distinctiveness of printmaking as artistic medium? How shall the key characteristics of printmaking, such as reproducibility, its capacity for distribution, and even its collaborative nature, be regarded in light of the changes we have observed the recent 20 years? I believe these are some of the questions that this seminar seeks to shed some light upon. Since I'm standing here and we're in a quite specific situation, current situation, I need to say a few words about the relationship between printmaking and politics, as politics obviously also is part of the expanded field. Printmaking has always been related to social and cultural changes. Gutenberg was a condition for the Enlightenment and later the modern world as we know it. There's something distinctively democratic with printing techniques. Printing spreads ideas, opinions, concepts, so no wonder that artists are attracted to the medium due to its potential as a sharing tool. As a teenager, I experienced the close relationship between the punk movement in the late 70s and the different types of prints. In the late 80s and early 90s, we experienced geopolitical changes symbolized with the fall of the Berlin Wall, but also the resistance at the Tiananmen Square in Beijing. More recently, the world has witnessed protests in the Arab world represented with the revolution in Egypt, which was ignited at the Tahrir Square in Cairo. All these revolts and civil protests use the printed matter in different formats, in addition to digital medias, as containers for information, for communication, and also identity. So the political power, or even the political risk of the print, was more recently experienced with the tragic attack at the Charlie Hebdo offices in Paris this year. The incident reminds us all of the still close relationship between printmaking and free speech. Today, the world close to us is witnessing massive challenges. The aftermath of the Arab Spring, the collapse of several North African nations, and a Syrian tragedy has led hundreds of thousands of people into a state of migrating, and even worse, they have become refugees, having had to leave their homes due to lack of security, food, and clean water. Train stations and border controls in Hungary, Bulgaria, Austria, and Germany, and other European countries are facing challenges we couldn't imagine just a few months ago. if we accept that there is a relationship between printmaking and a political reality, it might be interesting to ask if printmaking will respond to the current situation. What will it look like, and whether that will be artistically or in other genres. This seminar has been planned over several years. Jan said it has been planned over 5 years, and primarily, if not only, by Jan, by one key person and one organizer, and you have already met him, Professor Jan Pettersen. Some of us know the amount of work Jan has put down to make this seminar happen, and it is a lot. By investing his own research time and spare time into the seminar, he has managed to convince his professional surroundings about the importance of the seminar. He has been extremely ambitious, wanting the best speakers, but also wanting to produce a milieu around this discursive part for the best of speakers, guests, and invited audience, students, etc. On behalf of the Oslo National Academy, I would like to express my gratitude to Jan for this work. I also would like to thank our collaborators and supporters, the City of Bergen, the Association of Norwegian Printmakers, the Nordic Culture Fund, and Trykkeriet Center for Contemporary Printmaking. Also thanks to all colleagues at the Oslo National Academy of the Arts who has contributed to this seminar. You are the people who make this happen. Last but not least, a warm thank to all participators and speakers. I indeed hope these days will be intellectually challenging and fruitful. I like to think of this institution as a laboratory. Your obligation these days, these 4 days, is to test out ideas and opinions for the best of printmaking in the expanded field. Thank you.